Okay, you guys, so super excited. You will not even imagine what my setup is really looking like behind this camera. I may take a picture and embarrass myself and let you see it, right? But look, I think it's God challenging me because I'm such a perfectionist, right? And I think in some respects, as artists, we all suffer from that as, just entrepreneurs. We want everything to be perfect. And so who am I? I'm Garlinda Price, and you already know that, right? But in case you've seen my other playlist, two things you may want to know about me, maybe not, right? But more than two. I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a published author. I own a real estate company called Fusion Properties here in North Carolina. You can hear my southern accent. In addition to that company, we have a construction site. So I'm super busy just like you, right? My children are teenagers. Ministry, we have an evangelistic outreach ministry. So the Lord called us to do ministry and teaching and things like that on social media about 4 or 5 years ago. And so we've been sharing Bible studies and ministry videos on social media for about the last 4 or 5 years. So you can hear mine and my husband's videos. Shout out to him, Pastor Marvin Price Jr., aka Lamb Chop, right? You can hear our videos right here. We have a playlist for our ministry called Common Ground. But you didn't get on here to hear about that today, right? On today, you are on here with me if you're looking or you happen to have found this video because my creative outlet is jewelry designing. And so specifically, I love earrings, right? So you see the earrings that I have on. Well, let's look from this side. My edges need to be done. Right? But I design jewelry. I have since I was 19 years old, and I am a fan of statement jewelry and of unique jewelry, because how many of us, we will go to the mall, and I don't like shopping anyway. Now, I love a good thrift store. I had a few thrift videos on here. I don't know how people do that, trying on and recording at the same time. Like, it's too much, right? That wore me out. But I have never met a thrift store or a Goodwill that I was not in love with. Amen. Hallelujah. So anyway, we're going to be doing this incredible design on today that I had shared with you earlier. And this is just a sunset design that, I don't know, it just came into my mind and I wanted to do it. And so that's what we're going to be painting today. Now, I already have some bases that are purple. And so because of the way my setup is set up, we're just gonna have to rig it, right? But it's gonna work, right? And so I have some bases that are already painted, and they have been inside of a bag with other painted little pieces. And so these are just flat wood bases that were already painted on both sides. And I'm just going to create a sunset design using these. And so look, you'll notice that these already have a purple design at the bottom. So every sunset is unique. Every sunset is different. I didn't get on here with a preconceived idea of, oh, my sunset's going to look like that, right? Because we're doing ombre paint. And what that means is we're taking tons of different colors, right? I'm going to be using pinks. I'm going to be using yellows, orange, teal. And then shout out to all my new subscribers. You all are so sweet to be joining me. I'm hugely excited. It's an honor to meet you and to connect with you. And thank you for Diva Styles for referring people over to my channel. I'm so excited. Love your hair. Your hair is thebomb.com. I don't have the patience to do, you did a hidden braid technique. I mean, hats off to you, right? And so I love it. It's gorgeous. And so someone asked me what type of paints that I use. I use all bright colors, right? So no particular brand. They didn't ask me what kind I use. They asked me where I get the paint from. I buy all of my paint from Michael's. I have gotten some paint from Hobby Lobby, but I'm a little frugal, and that's code for cheap, right? And I'm all about whatever the inexpensive paint is. But the thing is, sometimes too, when you use really cheap paint, so I don't like cheap paint, but when you use the more inexpensive paints, you have to use more coats and it takes longer to dry. And it just depends on if you're an immediate gratification kind of person. I am. And so Americana tends to be my favorite, and it's pretty inexpensive. I think it's like maybe 79 cents or 99 cents. And then I'll use the Craft Smart because I can get that for about 79 cents, right? But it's not my favorite, the Americana Deco Artist. But nevertheless, we all have our own faves. But that's what we're going to use. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the camera down. I'm not going to be out here jibber-jabbering and talking half the day. But I'm going to show you how we're going to create the base for the earring, which is the ombre. And then what I'm going to do is you already know it, cut the slide, come back. And then once it dries to the point where I can show you how to do these gorgeous dancing palm trees, that's what we're going to do. And then also what I'll do is this will be in a separate video. I will come back and show you how I actually gloss my earrings, because I have several pair that need to be glossed. And that way I'll be able to show you that. So we're going to get started. We have a lot to do today. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start out by putting our paint. Let me face you down, right? Because you all don't know you're sitting inside of a teacup that's holding my brushes and it's holding me. So I'm being held up by a teacup, right? Stand by. Awesome. So welcome back. Although you may not know that I took a break to set all this up, right? But anyway, welcome back. Again, I'm Garlinda Price, and I'm here today sharing with you a super cool tutorial on how we are going to make these incredible ear bobs. Now look, this would make a super cute necklace pendant. It would also make a super cute pin, whatever you want to do with it. But I'm going to show you how we're going to create these today. So the supplies that you're going to need are paints of your choice, right? So any colors, I'm going to hold them where you can see the bottom, so you can just see the colors that I've chosen to work with. And then you can skip past this if you already have paints, already know the shades you're going to want to use. You don't have to sit and watch all this, right? But I'm going to have several random colors that I'm going to put inside my bowl. So we're going to speed this part up. And if I don't know how to speed it up, hey, just skip past it. That's why I got that little fast forward button over here on YouTube, right? Then that way I don't feel any kind of pressure. And then the type of brush that you're going to use, and I have to be careful taking my brushes out because like I said, you are sitting inside of a teacup, right? That holds all of my brushes. And so, you know what we have to do? We have to do the one lesson that I've learned in filming and recording. I haven't shared this, I think just since I've been talking to you all, but my husband and I filmed a pilot with HGTV DIY. We have a pilot that aired called Price to Sell. Our show didn't get picked up, but we were always having to do retakes, right? So whenever you're in the film industry, whenever you're in like where you're recording and things like that, you got to keep going, right? Showbiz, it keeps going, it goes on. And so I'm going to go ahead and put my colors that I'm going to be using for my sunset. And I don't have a design in mind when I start doing this. I think that you already have your favorite color palette. Everyone does. Everyone knows what their favorite color is. When someone asks you, hey, what's your favorite color? Most of the time we can just rattle it right off. My favorite color is purple, or my favorite color is pink. Or if you're like me, seriously, my favorite color is the entire rainbow, right? I love every color known to man. And so what I'm doing is I'm just randomly putting the colors that I'm going to be using inside the little paint pots, and in no specific order, but just ones that to me are going to make a really beautiful sunset. And so that is what we're doing. And then also, just to give you a tip, what I did was I went from dark to light when I created the design. And so you may want to go to from light to dark. You may want to do all blue, hues of blue. You may want to do hues of pink and purple. It's totally up to you. What does the sunset look like in your area? Right? Because to me, I feel like God makes the most amazing sunsets. Y'all, I don't know why I put that purple in there when we already have purple, but nevertheless, it's probably because I am chattering. So I'm going to be quiet for just a second. Let me see what other color. We need some yellow. Did your kids, when they were little, did they used to say Lelo? My babies used to say Lelo. They've gotten so big. So just so you know, I think I told you I'm the mom of two teenagers. I have a son that is going to college this year, fall 2020. I'm so super excited. So proud of him. And God is so good because he is going to be staying at home. That blesses my whole soul because that was my desire from the Lord. Like, Lord, just give me a little bit more time with them, right? And God will give you the desires of your heart, right? That is the word of God. And so let's get started. So I've already showed you that 20 million times. Let's put those over here. So now what we're going to do is, depending on the size of your item, I'm going to move this over. I apologize. Depending on the size of your item, right, is going to determine the size of your brush. In addition to that, I always wet my brush a little bit just so it can get its mind right that, hey, we can ready to start painting. No, seriously, I do it so that any bristles that are sticking out can cooperate. The paint will flow nicely. And so let me think about really quickly just what I want to do, because we already have a purple base, but I think I'm still going to go ahead and do a little bit more purple, only because there was some spots on here on my painted base. And so just to let you know where I got these from, I got all these wooden bases that I use to paint on. I got them from Michael's in the section over by where the popsicle sticks are, the little puff balls, the sequins. Everybody's stores may be set up differently, but that's where I got these from. I know that some people order on Amazon. I haven't yet, and I don't, because like I said, I like instant gratification. I want to be able to go to the store and pick it up. So let me be quiet. So nevertheless, we're going to dip our paintbrush in a little bit of purple, and we're going to work with one at a time. And I'm just going to swipe it across, right? And so because we're doing an ombre technique, what we're going to do next, without washing the brush off, is we're going to pick up another color. I just did the purple. I'm going to do the darker pink, only because I'm going from dark to light, okay? So one more swoosh. And I'm going to show you how we're going to keep blending it all together. Now, I am going to wipe my brush off a little bit, because next what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to do a lighter shade of pink. So I'm going to do a little bit of the light pink. And I'm going to take a little bit of another shade of pink that was just a little bit lighter than what I just used. I'm just going to go across. No rhyme or reason. Don't overthink about it. The paint is going to blend together. That's what it's supposed to do. We're making a sunset. Okay, so now the next color that I want to use is I want to go into the blue hues, because I want to end at the top with a yellow and an orange. So the next colors that I'm going to get are going to be a darker blue and a green. Okay, so now I'm gonna go, let me use a little tool. Sometimes I like to use this little tool to hold my stuff down. So if you have something that can hold it so it'll be steady, that'll be great. So watch this. So I put the green on, but I want more blue than I have green. So I'm gonna go back across it with a little bit of blue. And we're gonna swipe across and meld this all together in a second. So don't overthink it. Just keep going from side to side in a horizontal motion. I am going to pull that over a little bit, only because I want to get it to the end. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you the colors I'm going to pick up. We just did the blues, and now what I want to do is I want to take the shades of green. So I'm going to take the ochre color green, and I'm going to take this really light pastel kind of green. Let me bring you back in range. I'm working on a sheet of paper too, just the white, so it'll show up. And then we're gonna go across. Look how pretty that is. And you may say, well, what kind of sunset has all those colors in it? Well, in my mind, I just shared with you, I love rainbows, so my sunset looks like this in my mind. So now I'm gonna wash my brush off, only because we're getting ready to work with the yellow and with the orange. And any kind of darker colors that you work with, you always, to me, want to go from dark to light, because any type of colors that you're working with, especially if you're doing a yellow or if you're doing a white, the darker colors can tend to bleed into yellows and whites. Okay, so I'm trying to decide. No, we're not. Okay, we're just going to do the yellow and the orange like we were doing. And so we're going to pick up some orange on the end of our brush, and we're going to pick up some yellow on the end of the brush too, okay? I'm going to hold my little piece down, because guess what? We're going to go back across it anyway, so it's not going to matter. I do want to pull you in the frame so you can see that. Okay? It looks like an Easter egg, doesn't it? So in my mind, this is what my sunset is going to look like. I'm going to go back across that little piece that you see right over here, because I don't want to have a blank space there. And then we're going to let this one dry. Okay. So give me 1 second. Let me fix my little piece. So I'm going to dab the corner of my brush in the light pink. I'm going to dab the corner of my brush in the other pink. I'm just going to go back across it that way, okay? Now watch what we're getting ready to do. So I'm going to see if I can get you a little closer without dropping you. And then I'm going to move you back, okay? So I'm going to take my brush. I'm going to wet it a little bit. You don't see the water I have off to the side. First, I'm going to clean it. I'm going to wet it a little bit, and I did dry it off. And now, just really gently, very gently, I'm just going to go across it. I'm going to dip my brush back in, clean it off a little bit. I'm going back across. Notice that I'm cutting down some of those lines. I'm going to show you right quick. I'm going to hold it up and do it too. Okay, but it has water on it, so I have to be careful about it. I'm just drying it off. So I'm dipping my brush in the water. And then I'm going, dry it off a little bit more. Dipping my brush in the water. And now what I'm doing is, you see how we have all the raised paint? I'm just laying those lines down just a little bit, okay? So I'm going across, and I'm only doing it gently because I don't want to wipe any paint off, as we know that the paint is still wet because we just got through working with it and we put it on here rather thick because we were mixing multiple colors, right, to do our ombre. So I'm going to do this last one. And see, notice that knocked the lines down, right? So I'm going to lay it flat because I noticed that the pink is running on this side only because the water's going down there. So we're going to let that one dry. I'm going to put it out here in front of me where I can see it, and we're going to work on the next one. What color would your sunset be? I'd love to know in your comments, right? I feel like Bob Ross. But anyway, so we're going to put it down on the mat. I'm going to see if we can work this close, if that'll give you a good view of what we're doing. So I'm dampening my brush. I'm going to switch out my napkin. So the other tool that I have off to the side is a napkin. So we can keep our brush dry. We can wet it when we want, dabble it off. And so now we're going to start over just like we did a second ago. We're going to use our purple and we're going to use our pink. Now, for those of you that have a slight bit of OCD, it's going to drive you batty that there's no measurements. And I respect and understand that, but there are no measurements, right? So what we did the first time was we did a purple. Wrong pink. Did a purple, and now we're going to use this pink to go across. I'm going to do one more purple. We're going to use this pink to go across, right? So we don't want to overthink it, because when we begin to overthink it, we're like, oh, it didn't come out right. Oh, it didn't do right. But it doesn't have to be perfect, because guess what? After you get your paint on there and after you get it like you want it, and once you gloss it at the end, it's going to be so incredible. No one is going to know that it wasn't perfect. So now we did our light pink and our other shade of like a bubblegum pink. Super pretty. I love it. So now we're going to do our greens, right? our blues. I'm trying to follow our little pattern that we have from the other one, right? So now we're going to do our blues. All you're going to do is make your earrings match up. So I'm dipping in the green. I dipped in the green, and now I'm dipping in our blue. Because remember, I'm having like a Curacao sunset. I don't even know what that is. I think it's in the Caribbean, right? So then going across. Doesn't have to be perfect, but I do want a little bit more green. So I'm going to go back across one more time. And you want it to overlap. So when you're doing this, you want your colors to overlap. So I'm going to show you the next one, holding it up. And y'all, I'm really doing tutorials, teaching people how to make jewelry. I mean, it's challenging on camera, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm certainly not an expert. So prayerfully you'll have grace. Remember, I said I delete all negative comments and people. But anyway, okay, so next, we wanna stay focused. That's me getting unfocused. So we're gonna do the green. So we're gonna do our chartreuse green, and then we're gonna do our other pastel green, and then we're gonna go across. Isn't that pretty? And then we're gonna do an ombre. So notice that how it overlapped on the blue. That's great, no worries at all, because remember, we're gonna go back at the end and we're gonna lay the lines down so that it makes our sunset. So I'm gonna sit that down for a second so I can clean the brush. And then the next colors we're gonna work with are what? The yellow and the orange. But of course, yours can be any way you want. And if you wanted to, what you could do is put your colors in order of how you want to use them for people that like organization. I'm kind of a fly by the seat of my pants kind of girl. Like, so if the Lord says, hey, Garlinda, I want you to go do this, I don't overthink it. We're jumping out the plane and we're going to let the Lord worry about the parachute, okay? So I'm that type of person that when I have an idea, We're just gonna go with the idea. We'll figure out all the details after, right? So let's go ahead and do the orange piece across the top. And then swoosh across the top. I'm gonna do one more only because why not? It's art, right? So there we go. So now we have that one done. Look how gorgeous. My sunset's gonna be incredible, right? So you may have to skip past here if you don't want to see all this, but I'm getting ready to go back over the other one that we just did now that it's dried just a little bit because I want to have at least 2 coats. Now you can have as many coats as you want, but I just feel like you want to have good coverage because notice how up there you can still see the background a little bit, and I want great coverage. So let's go back. I was just drying off the brush a little bit, and what we're going to do is we're going to do what? Purple and pink. Swoosh. Bubblegum pink and light pink, swoosh. I'm gonna wipe that off because we're gonna do the blues. We're gonna do the blue, like a robin's egg blue, and the green. I'm gonna swoosh it across. We're gonna do the pastel green and the chartreuse green. And we're going to swoosh it across. One more. And then we're gonna do our yellow. And we're gonna do our orange. I feel like I need to touch this one up a little bit more. So I'm gonna go a little heavy-handed on the yellow and the orange across the top. Only because I want to make sure I have good coverage. And you can always go back over this as many times as you want. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit this to the side and I'm going to let it dry. But I'm going to pick it up so you can see what kind of coverage it is. So to me, that has really great coverage. I love it how it is. And now we have to let it dry so that it will be dry enough for the palm tree, and the palm tree won't bleed and the black won't bleed into it once we have it on there. But also before that, I need to let it dry so that we can lay down some of those, like how it's raised up a little bit. Now notice right here, and this is just me, right? I want that to lay down, that little extra, turn it the other way. The little extra raised piece of pink right there. So I'm just going to take the brush and pull it onto the edge, right? You can make whatever touch-ups you want, right? Because this is your jewelry, this is your art piece. And so now that's like I want it. I'm going to leave it alone and I'm going to let it dry. I'm going to go finish this other one and then we're going to come back and I'll be back in a second.